What's good, y'all? Thank you for listening or watching to this week's episode of the N1 podcast. Just a quick reminder here somewhere on your screen, you should be able to see a Patreon link. That is for an optional support to the podcast. It allows me to get better equipment, level up the quality of the episodes, and just deliver better content for you. If you do want to support, it's $6 per month. And other than that, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Have a good one. What's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the N1 podcast. Very happy to have here somebody that I grew up watching when he was in Costa Rica. I was still in high school. Isaac Mack. Isaac, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Things are great. Things are great. Can't complain. I appreciate you having the time for me for the interview and also accepting the invite.
Absolutely. No problem at all, man.
Yes, sir. So before we get started into any topic, any conversation, I always like to give out like 30 or 45 seconds for each player or each person to introduce themselves, background, your college experience or pro experience. Just talk to us about yourself in a brief matter.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana. I moved to Texas for junior college for a couple of years before I got a Division I scholarship offer from University of New Orleans, which is where I finished my college career. I came out of school in 2014. From there, I took a year off from basketball. Just was mentally kind of out of it for a while. College took a lot out of me, to be honest. And then I went ahead and tried to get myself back going as far as playing. I ended up starting out in Australia, playing in like a smaller league out there. And then from Australia, I ended up going to Costa Rica, which is it almost kind of changed the trajectory of my basketball career, to say the least. So I'm very, very grateful for, Costa Rica, the Costa Rica experience. From there, I was able to go play primarily in the Middle East, Saudi, Qatar, Tunisia. So had some experiences outside of that as well. So right now I'm kind of, I have my own brand. It's called Overlooked. I train kids. I train myself. I train adults. Just trying to help these guys get to the next level, give them the tools of what it takes to get there.
Right. Yeah. I've seen you come up with brand. I've seen you come up with the training profile as well, and we're definitely going to get into that.
Absolutely.
You said, because there's some stuff I obviously don't know because we never played each other. I just saw you from afar when I went to the games. So you started off by saying that you took a year off because you were mentally drained, or it was tiring for you. Was that by the whole college and like NCAA experience, or was it just straight up about the sport, right? Because basketball is very tiring. It's very demanding, right? So was it a mix up of college and like getting your career and also playing, or is it just about like the sport itself that it got you?
To be honest, it was a combination of a lot of different things. I try to tell people nowadays, like, don't just look to go Division I, right? If you can, you can. But for the most part, go somewhere where you're going to feel like appreciated, valued. You're going to be able to play, and make the most impact in your own game. So the difference in where I went to a college where I was kind of told a lot of lies. Basically, they were saying, "Hey, you're going to be this. We're going to need you to fill this role." And when I got there, I didn't play at all really my junior year. So that kind of set me back, right? Then my senior year, I had to like really, really, work extremely hard to try to make up that last year that I didn't play. So I was putting a lot of extra time in the gym, busting my butt in practice, like going 1000%, right? So, but that took a toll on my body. And it also took a toll on my confidence because I wasn't getting a lot of recognition outside of college. So I took a year off because, I think my coach had kind of, in a sort of a way, kind of like broke my confidence, to a certain degree. I always had confidence, but it's like to play at the next level, I feel like you have to have an extreme amount of confidence to kind of know who you are as a player. I didn't really have my own identity. So I took a year off, try to, redevelop my game, get back in the gym and work on things that I normally know how to do. And, just get out of that whole system that I was in as far as like college ball. So that's the reason why I took the year off. I mean, I think, the biggest thing is just you have to stay locked in to who you are, as a player, right? It's the reason that you were able to get to where you are. It was being you the whole time. So don't change up the formula.
Right. And during that time off, did it ever cross your mind, all right, maybe I can come back to this? Like maybe, I can come up to my full potential again
Oh
and
yeah, absolutely.
seek out, pro opportunities
Absolutely,
overseas.
absolutely. I mean, it's what we do it for, right? If you're going to play ball, you want to play at the highest level possible that you can possibly reach. In my opinion, that was always my approach. When I took the year off, my confidence was low, but I just felt like I need to change my environment. I need to get back to
Yeah.
what I was doing to get here in the first place. So I grew up playing like street ball, really physical basketball. Not really having people kind of like correct every little move that you make. Just play a game and let the results speak for itself. So once I got back into that type of environment when I moved to Houston, um, I started playing with a lot of different better players, people from overseas. That gave me my confidence back because I was able to compete against these guys, score, do all the good things, and then also have them validate me in my game, which it did a lot for me. You know what I'm saying? So that was the kind of indicator to say, all right, let's go back and try to play overseas. Absolutely.
Right. And when you started to work out again and, getting prepared for any opportunity that came your way, um, what was your main focus in terms of your game? Right. Because,
Mhm.
as a player, I always say, you have to master one thing and then you build out the rest of your game. That's how I like to view, how people play.
Mhm.
So, did you have any specific like details into, all right, if I'm gonna play overseas, I have to know how to score over big man, or I gotta
Right.
shoot
Right.
better, or my
Right.
defense. Like, what was that one focus that you took during working out and building up yourself for pro ball?
Um, Reps. You know what I'm saying? A lot of reps, like far as like shooting, like getting shots up, being in shape is the main thing. To be honest, shape and just getting a lot of reps up. You're gonna have a lot of times where um, you're going to probably especially if you're an import, you're going to play a lot of
Yeah.
minutes, right? So you have to
Hmm.
be in shape. You have to be able to be durable. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get bumped around. People are going to purposely try to uh, come at you or be more aggressive with you because you're a foreign player. So you just have to, put your body through certain tests to see like if you measure up. At the end of the day, that's what I focused on the most was just I stayed in the gym, probably shooting 1,000 shots a day. Um, Running, focus on my conditioning, lifting weights, just trying to stay available as possible, ready. And when the opportunity came, I felt like I was always in a good position just based on the stuff that I put in the gym.
Right. And now let's talk about that first jump. How did you come across Australia first? Who
Okay.
presented you the idea? Did you have an agent back in the day, or did you solo ride? Just give us, talk about, why were there any more opportunities other than Australia? What took you to make that decision into going there?
Bro, this is a very, very funny story because a lot of people don't know this about me. So once I took that year off, right, it was hard to climb back from that. A lot of overseas coaches or scouts or agents, they like consistency, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what that means is as soon as you leave school, they want to make sure that you're either playing in some type of league or doing something to show that you're like in game shape, ready to go. Taking the year off hurt me, you know what I'm saying, to be honest. So I had to start and play. I played semi pro ball for like a couple of months in Calumet City, Illinois. If anybody don't know what that is or where that is, it's very, very rough. I'm talking about it's tough, bro. Like it was conditions that I don't even want to mention on this, So, but I had to go through that, right? And at the same
Right.
time, I think it was a part of my process. I appreciate it all. But from there, I was able to connect with my guy. His name is Adam Marjoram. I still have a relationship with him. He was a kind of like a player coach on the
Okay.
team in Australia, and I just remember him reaching out to me on Facebook and was like, "Hey, man, are you looking for opportunity?" And I'm just like, "Absolutely, I'm ready to get out of this situation."
Right.
So I had to work on my visa stuff and pay a couple of fees, and then I ended up getting the opportunity. I left the second that I was able to, and from there, it kind of like changed my life because I had a game literally the day after I flew out there, ended up having like 40 points, being all in the news, in the paper. So it was a big deal for me, honestly. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I mean, Australia is far away, man. It's
It is far away.
what is it like a 15-hour flight?
Man, it took me 23 hours to
23
fly
hours.
from Houston to we went to Auckland, New Zealand first, and then from Auckland to Sydney, which is like 2 hours. So it was like 24 hours. It was crazy.
And how was the adapting? Like jet lag, food. Not be able to sleep, environment, weather. How was all that?
Um, that didn't hit me until maybe like 2 weeks after I got there because I was on such a high just from all the adversity,
Yeah.
dealing up to that moment. As a player, a lot of people just they only show like the successes, you know what I'm saying? They don't really show the grind that it takes to really get to, trying to be like an overseas athlete. And, there's levels to it, obviously, but everybody's process is different, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I didn't really get to experience the jet lag side of things until like when I finally was like, okay, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
but I had a game the day after I got there. I was running like camps with the kids, and I was all excited to do all of those things, right? So I was still on a emotional high more than anything. So when I finally came off of that, that's when my body got tired from the flying and everything just caught up to me. Then, yeah.
Right. And well, I haven't asked anybody else this question, but your day to day, what it look like, kind of, because some teams and some leagues they require 3 practices a week, four
Mhm.
practices a week, maybe
Mhm.
even twice a day.
Right.
So when you first got there, adding up to that, it was your first real overseas job.
Yep.
What was like your day to day, your schedule? Like, did you adapt physically to it? Like, was it too demanding? Talk to us about that.
No. So we had most of the time it was pretty open. We only had a practice once a day, but
Okay.
me personally, that wasn't enough for me. I mean, the practices were for the most part pretty light, in my opinion. Um, Considering that I came from a really really hard nosed like university, so I'm used to going like 2.5 hours just hard, But over there, we went for maybe an hour and a half. A lot of just shooting, not a lot of conditioning.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time during the day in the gym getting shots, running, lifting. I'll come back in the afternoon before practice, maybe like 45 minutes before, and just get shots up. And then I would practice. So that was kind of like
Hmm.
my formula to kind of stay tight, stay locked in. And then, because at the end of the day, they're dependent on me to help them win games a lot of times. So
Right.
it's like if I'm not tight on my game, our percentages of winning games are very, very low. So I had to make sure I was tight. But it wasn't
Right.
it wasn't a hard transition though. It wasn't a hard transition.
Right. And for how long did that extend that season?
So that season was from February to August, so about 6 months. So, yeah,
Okay. And you played only 1 year over there?
yep, 1 year, and then I came home for like winter, worked out, trained, and then I ended up in Costa Rica. Yep, in
Okay. Okay.
February of the following year. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And before jumping to Costa Rica, you said like your first game you had 40. What was like the biggest moment or biggest game you take from that season over there?
Um, that first game was like a highlight because the team that we played had won the league the year before. They had two
Mm.
American players on their team, and it was for me it was a big deal because there was so much hype around it. Like I was expecting to just come in and just be like, all right, I got a little game now I'm going to play, just kind of get my feet wet,
Right.
see what it's like. But it was a really really big game. You know what I'm saying? The first game that I came in, so it set the standard and it set the tone for me. Like moving forward, it's like I want to be the guy. And
Hmm.
in the league. The championship team that won the league prior, those two American guys were the guy, so it was like my goal to make sure that like okay, I'm here. I got to make myself known. I'm because at the end of the day, Australia has a lot of different leagues, right? So I
Right.
was thinking like, let me try to um, just show everything to everybody, right here, right now, and put my name out there. So that's kind of what I did, and I had 40. It was on two Americans who was probably like the MVP of the league. So it was a big game for me. That was a highlight of my Australia career.
Right. And the team that you go to, was it decent team, good team, bad team? Like what rep
They
do they
were
have before you got there?
they've always been like that top four, top five team in the league, but they
Okay.
just could never seem to kind of get over the hump. Traditionally, back in the day, like they were normally like really, really good. Will probably like make it to the finals and probably lose in the finals or something like that. But uh, I didn't really understand the history when I first got there.
Okay.
Then after playing, after hearing conversations, like it was like every team was like a rival, kind of. So you kind of just you went into every game with like a little chip on your shoulder. Your team was all hyped up, and these
Hmm.
guys are Australian. Like I didn't know that. Australian basketball is very, very physical. You know, it's very,
Hmm.
very hard, like competitive. Um, but I was thinking that the people outside of basketball, they don't really act like that. Like they don't really like argue. It's a very, very I won't say soft country, but it's a very, very like friendly country. You know what I'm saying,
Right.
for the most part. So, but on the basketball court, in sport in general, it's a lot of tension, a lot of competitiveness. They have rugby, all kind of
Yep.
stuff over there. So
I,
it's very, very hard nosed. Yeah,
I was gonna
absolutely.
say that, they're famous for rugby, so they have to be like that. Very
Yeah,
aggressive,
absolutely.
very competitive.
Yep.
So okay, so you came back home, you worked out. Talk to me about how you found out about Costa Rica. Who got you here? I Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you come here? You can talk about it more in detail. Did you come here because of what was this guy's name? Joshua? Josh?
I don't know who Josh is.
Okay, because he was a coach here, and he was a coach in San Ramon, and then he was involved with the federation for a while, and he brought a lot of imports. So I thought you were part of that group, but
Yeah,
it's not just
I never meet him.
okay.
But I
Yeah.
came through a guy. His name was George Bergerano. He was
Okay.
actually dating or in a relationship with. Um, I don't know if you know who Mariella is. She was our coach at
Your
one
coach.
point.
Hmm.
So she has a sister, and her sister George kind of was dating her at the time. And
Okay.
George he was like an aspiring agent. He had a couple people that he helped get jobs in like Mexico and like Dominican Republic and stuff like that in Central America. So I connected with him just because he was out in Dallas. So that was kind of close. Houston and Dallas is fairly close. So we connected. He said he had a chance to kind of get me over in Costa Rica. It probably would be a step up from like the Australia league that I was playing in. Because my whole thing was like, I want to go Europe. I want to go to Europe. I want to go to, you know, uh, Middle East, make some decent money at it. I don't, I never classify myself as like a, like a super like Euro League type of player. Like you have to know
Right.
yourself, right? So I never looked at it like that, but just based on the school that I came from, and the position that I set myself up to be in, it was going to be very, very hard to get there. But I just knew that I can continue to just keep getting in, better leagues each time I play, right? So that was my approach. He helped me get over in Costa Rica, and everything just kind of happened from there. I flew out with actually a guy that I know because we came out there together. It was a guy who was our big man. His name was Brandon, but he didn't last that long. Again, the physicality in Costa Rica is different too. So,
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, people don't know that, man. But Costa Rica is very, very physical too, man. And a lot of stuff doesn't get called, right? The refs let
Right.
people play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I had to get used to that too. Absolutely.
Man, look, every single player that comes here, they keep saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for it. Refs don't call. What we get in the U.S.
Right.
Or in any other country,
Right.
it's different. It's really
Right.
different. And then
Right.
I like to say that national players, we don't. I'm not gonna say we don't care who you are, but it's not like we're gonna back down, right?
You're not supposed to. You get what I'm
Right,
saying? Like, no
right,
disrespect. Like, if I'm coming over to Costa Rica, I don't care who's in front of me, right? So I
exactly.
expect the same type of approach from those guys. Like you come into our country, you know, more than likely we probably get paid a little bit more than those guys. So it's like that's already a chip that people have on their shoulder too. Uh, the money aspect is a big, big part of it. You know what I'm saying? So especially if you come in and you don't produce as much as a local player, they may feel like you don't deserve to make that type of money, right? So
Yeah,
uh, you have to really go out there and prove and show that you're worth what you're worth and just stand on that. You know what I'm saying? So I think I did a pretty good job because I saw a lot of people come and go from different teams and different leagues, and I stayed the whole time. So that's a big thing for me.
Yeah, and you only played for that for one team, right?
Yeah, for Barber. Yep.
Barba.
Yep.
Yeah, I was actually watching your highlight tape right before you joined. You came into a good situation because that was a dominant team at the time. It's not like they don't longer exist.
Yeah, they
If I can give
dissolved.
you the
Yep.
update,
Yep.
but they won like I want to say like 11 championships in like 15 years or something like
Yeah.
that. It was something
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. That was
Um,
they stressed that when I got there. You know, they was like,
yeah, I bet.
we're paying you this because we're normally we win championships and we have to beat San Ramon and all that. And it was like we'll fire you if you don't, do this. It was a lot. It was a whole lot. I'm just like, that's
I
fine.
didn't know
I
that.
understand. Yeah, it was crazy, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm built for stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Pressure really doesn't bother me too much.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know that because I've only heard stories. I mean, I was you played here. What was it?
2016.
2016.
Yeah.
I graduated 2014. I didn't start playing until 2018.
Okay.
So I only heard stories from guys I knew that played there.
Hmm.
And they came over to my team.
Hmm.
And they said it was rough. Like they said, if you didn't go to the gym, they would like discount from your check. At one point.
I don't know about that.
Uh,
But I'm not saying that it's not true though, because that's like I told you, the same approach that I had in Australia, I had in Costa Rica. Right, we only had one practice a day, so I would always go lift in the mornings, shoot in the afternoons, and then practice at night. I did the same thing. The formula never changed for me, right? So I feel like that's part of having a healthy career is like longevity, consistency. You have to do the
yeah,
same things to kind of keep you there. So I kind of kept the same approach. I had success in my opinion in
yeah,
Costa
yeah,
Rica.
and well, you come down to Costa Rica. You get settled. What were your first impressions of the country? Like, not even touching on basketball, like of the country itself. Traveling to Barba or Heredia or wherever you stayed at,
Hmm.
and then how people received you. The team, the fans. Talk to me about that whole experience.
So, that was going to Australia. Like Australia was more Americanized, right? It's just like the U.S. So, not much of a culture shock. But when I did go to Costa Rica, it's more, um, uh, I gotta say, third worldish a little bit. You know what I'm saying, to a certain
Hmm.
from what we're used to.
Right.
So I had to adjust. I'm very appreciative and grateful for being able to. Um, just kind of like learn how people live, learn what people value. And I feel like everybody in the small city of Aurelia, they embraced me like very, very like welcoming. Like I had so many different people like looking out for me at the subway, at the places I would go eat, the barber shop, like, uh, it was love, bro. Like I'm not even gonna lie to you, it was love for me. I enjoyed it. I actually was going to consider coming back to play the year after for maybe like Gracie or something like that, but ended
Hmm.
up going to like the Middle East after that. But I mean, for the most part, man, the people were awesome. I would go to the malls in like San Jose, and just kind of walk around and just people would just be like, "Oh my God, they've probably seen me on TV or something like that."
Right.
It
Right.
was legit, man. I had a really good experience there.
Right. Did you ever travel to like the beach side or mountain side of the country?
I went to, I want to say, where is it Guanacaste? Guanacaste? I
That's
think
up
it,
north. That's really
yeah,
up
but
north.
what team is up there?
Liberia.
Liberia, yes. We played
Yeah.
up there, and that's the only time I was able to go to the beach. But I never
Okay.
like experienced like Haku or anything like that. Um, but I always wanted to. Like I do plan on coming back to Costa Rica and just like having like a little vacation and stuff like that. But
Right.
absolutely, I didn't really get a chance to go to the beach, go to the rainforest. I'm all into that type of stuff though. Like I like animals, I like the nature, so didn't get a chance to do much of that.
Okay. Right. And now switching back to basketball, I'm looking here because I still got your highlight tape. It's not playing, but I paused it right when you were playing against Abogados.
Okay.
Um, your first game, or whenever it happened, what was that moment? in the physicality aspect. Because again, this is something that every player tells me. Like,
Mhm.
you're not the first guy, and I'm sure you're not gonna be the last guy to tell me this.
Mhm.
When was it that you realized, all right, I'm gonna have to, tie my shoes,
Yeah.
don't soften up, be strong because they're not gonna give me any calls, especially because you're imports.
Right.
I've talked to
Right.
refs, and some refs, they give out some sort of advantage to us if we bump into you, right?
Mhm.
If we hack you a little bit.
Mhm.
So did you have that one moment when you're like, oh shit, I can't back down?
Mhm. So yeah, man, our first game I think was pretty like intense, just based on the hype around like our people that were kind of like over the team. Like
Mhm.
with it being like a historically, good successful team, there's a lot of pressure that they put on the players to like perform. Um, and just that alone can really like mess with you mentally. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
then you don't even expect to get into a game and get elbowed just inadvertently, you know what I'm saying, or just come down the court, to come down the court and get hit with a screen. Your teammates probably not even like really saying too much to you. So I definitely, the first game for me just woke me up for the rest of the league. It started like instantly.
Right.
Anytime I would drive the ball, like I wasn't necessarily expecting fouls, but at the same time, you can feel the pressure, you can feel the contact, and you just kind of got to feel like out the league, got to feel out the refs, see what you can get away with, and that ultimately, if you're a good player, you can adapt to those situations. A lot of people
Yeah.
can't, though. A lot of people
Hmm.
are they get in their head, and then that's where you got them right there. If you can get mentally inside, you got them. I think Costa Rica is a league that'll really test your mental toughness. You know what I'm saying? Overall.
Right. Right. Okay. And was there, if I don't know how your relationship is with national players, but is there one that you remember that stood out during all the games you played?
Yeah, it's a couple of them that I thought were really, really good. I really liked. Well, he was on my team. His name was Biggie, but we called him. His name is David. David
David.
Sheehan.
Yep.
Him and his brother. I still keep contact with those guys. Um, his brother is really, really good. Um,
Yeah.
um, and then we called him Muya, but his name is Gabriel.
Yep. Hmm.
That's my guy. I really enjoyed playing with him. And then from San Ramon, they had Isaac Conejo. I think is his name. He's really really good, smart player. Uh, Outside of that, though, I mean, it was good guys, but those guys really stood out to me. You know what I'm saying, for
Yeah.
the most part.
They still do. They
Yeah,
still do.
they're still really really good players, man. Even Amir Alvarado, I think this name Amir is really really
Hmm.
good, really smart player. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of guys. I'm starting to play it all back. It's been a while since I've been out there, but
Yeah.
I'm playing it all back. It was some really, really good dudes there that don't possibly get enough credit. You know what I'm saying? Like, far as like their individual games, but really, really good guys.
Right. And what about your matchups against San Ramon, which was the other like historically big team? I mean, they're still around, but that rivalry that you guys had, it extended for some years. The one year you were here, and then going back and forward, they were the dominance of the league, right? Like
Hmm.
either one of them won or the other one won, but they were
Hmm.
always going back and forth. So the games against them going over to San Ramon, because I'm not sure how much of a distance it is from Adelia. I mean, from where I'm from, it's damn near 3 hours. It's like 2 hours and a half.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
long ass
yeah,
ride.
yeah.
You got to get there, and then sometimes it's raining
Yep,
or
yep,
it's humid because it's up in the mountains.
yep.
So talk to me about those battles or those games specifically, because typically they were good games. People
Yeah.
went over there either to
Hmm.
your gym, which was smaller,
Hmm.
or in San Ramon to watch them because they were really good games.
No, man, those games were probably like my favorite. We just again the hype. You know what I'm saying, behind it, knowing that you know, this is probably going to be the championship game, more than
Hmm.
likely, so it's like a preview of kind of what to expect. Like I get to see these guys, fill them out, see what they're going to do, see how they're going to play me, um, see how my teammates are going to respond to the physicality, because that's a different type of level of physicality when it comes to
Right.
like the rival game. So um, it was always fun for me. I always tried my best to show up and you know make an impact, in any aspect that I could. But a lot of times it's probably not going to be scoring all the time either, because those guys, they make it hard for you. I do remember
Yeah,
a big guy from San Ramon. I forget his name. He was real big as their center. An older
Jeffy.
dude. That's who it is. Yeah, he hit me with a mean like elbow, laid me
Yeah.
out. Yeah, he laid me out, man. Laid me out for a minute. At our home gym, and from there I was like, okay, this is real. So these dudes they're willing to die out here for this, this championship. So that was a moment that stuck with me for a while too. But overall though, that was always really, really good competition. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, really, really good competition.
Right. And did you have any nightlife experience here in Costa Rica, or was it like
I
strictly
did.
basketball for
I,
you?
I mean, the only place, and I kind of, if I'm being honest, I kind of regret it, But I stayed at this place called La Concha, which is
Oh,
in,
hey, that's my spot.
yeah. I'm only saying I regret it because like when I put it all back in perspective now, it's kind of like the main thing as a import is you want to go all the way, right? You want to make sure
Mhm.
that you win it. It's just that much. It adds that much more to your own individual basketball legacy, right? You want to win. So I just feel like sometimes instead of going out on a Friday night or a Saturday night, I could have pulled a couple of my teammates in that I knew needed some improvement, that I knew needed
Right,
some pushing. Let's get our asses in the gym. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Let's get in here and get some shots up. Let's hit the weights because we about to end up playing, San Ramon, or we about to play. It was an Escazú, which is another
Hmm.
tough team. And they're ready for us. They're ready to beat us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if we don't come correct, it's easily going to be a game that we can lose, and we're going to hear it from our coach, the people over the team. They're going to be talking about trading us or releasing us. So let's not even give them nothing to have those conversations about. So in a way, I'm like, man, I wish I could have done some things different, but at the same time, it's like you got to experience it. You got to enjoy it while it's there. Stay in the moment. Um, but I did stay there a lot. I was there a lot, from being honest.
That's my spot. I'm glad you went there because that's my spot. That's
Yeah.
where I take the players that come here. Usually, I'm like, yo, if you want to go out, I know a spot. And now they not rebranded it, but they expanded it where they have that place. Then they have like a yard.
Hmm.
It opens up because it's open like at night, and
Yep.
then they have like a small hip hop joint.
Okay.
It's like strictly hip hop or Afro beats and stuff like that. So
Cool. Yeah.
that's if I went out, I mean, I don't want to expose myself. I went out, a lot with our import last year, and we had a great time, man. Because it's fun. At the
It
end of the
is
day,
fun.
I keep saying, man, look, if because the basketball is, it wears you down, right? Mentally,
Mm,
physically, it's tiring. So
absolutely.
having a little bit of fun, especially since for most imports they just play, practice, and that's it. Like they
Yep.
don't
Yep.
do anything else.
Yep.
So having fun is important. And
Hmm.
did you win that year that you were here, or
I
did y'all
did.
lose?
I
You
stayed. Like I
won.
said, I stayed there a lot of times, man. Me and mainly it was me and Biggie, well, David,
Yeah,
or like my other buddy, my other teammate. His name was Pablo
I know him
Fonseca. Yeah,
from Pick.
Fonseca. I
Yeah,
think. Yeah,
yeah.
we stayed in there like all the time. It's just really just us three because they all kind of. Pablo didn't live with me, but Biggie did. Me, Biggie, and we had another like tall guy who ended up coming from Nicaragua. I think his name was Bartel
Martel.
Lopez. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we all stayed together, right? So um, when it was time to go out, we would all just kind of go out. Bartel didn't really go out a lot. I wish I would
Yeah.
have started doing what he was doing, but he stayed in. He was kind of just drinking his tea, stuff. He was real laid back. Um, but yeah, me and Biggie stayed out.
All right. And did y'all end up winning that year the
No, we
championship?
lost we lost in the finals to San Ramon. I
San
was
Ramon.
actually I was actually hurt. Um, I had tore my hamstring like partially, and it was like really bothered me. I actually tried to play um with it torn. A lot of people didn't know that I took some type of like what I don't know if it was a steroid or whatever it was to kind of like
Mm-hmm.
get me there, but I took that to try to see if it was going to work and help. It still didn't help, and ultimately we
Right.
lost the game. You know what I'm saying? That's something that I really still like am mad at because I feel like we could have easily won that game. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
straight up, we could have won. But yeah, we lost.
Yeah. And what happened after that? You lost. You went back home, I suppose.
So yep, once I left Costa Rica, and I want to say maybe like September or so when the season was
Okay.
done, um, I uh, again I kind of did what I always do. I kind of take like a month or so off from basketball to kind of decompress, spend time with my family for a little bit. Then I get right back to it. You know, go to New Orleans, train. You know, do all of the stuff with some guys that I know that's overseas, and we get together and we just kind of sharpen each other up. And then I ended up connecting with an agent from the Middle East. That's my first time ever really having like a legit agent. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I connected with him, and then he helped me sign a deal to play in Qatar. And I
Okay.
went there. Yep, and I went to Qatar in
Okay.
in December. So I
And
was
for how long?
only home for like two
And
months before I left again.
okay. And for how long did that season extend? In
But
New Orleans.
that was a cup. So their season kind of goes on the same time as Costa Rica is, like you know, from like February to August or so. Well, that's how
Right.
it was when I was there. But then Qatar is the same way. So after the season, they have like their cups,
Okay.
and the cup goes from like December to April, if you go all the way. So we ended up going to like the semifinals of that cup. So it kind of took me to like the beginning of April. I came home from there like April 17th. So
Okay.
so yeah.
And what about that experience? Because Qatar, I don't think I've ever spoken to somebody that played in the Middle East.
Okay.
So that whole environment, because you played in several countries in the Middle East, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, just jumping into Qatar, were they all like similar or like in environment, type of game, type of
Yeah, I think yeah, Middle East basketball I think is pretty similar outside of maybe Lebanon, from what I've
Okay.
heard. Lebanon is like you talk about competitive, talk about it's big money in Lebanon. So it's like, you may have an ex NBA guy in
Hmm.
Lebanon playing. So the league is competitive, you know what I'm saying? And it's very, very physical. Um, and I just think that that's really like anywhere in the Middle East, honestly. Like it's always going to be that, that level of competitiveness because, you got to think about not even from like a basketball perspective, but just like from a country perspective. Like some of these countries really don't like American, like government at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That shows on the court a lot of times too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which is a small thing to kind of pay attention to, but it's like something that you still have to be aware of. These
Hmm.
guys will purposely try to hurt you if you're not paying attention. Like at least with Costa Rica, it's like they weren't just trying to hurt me. They was just trying to give me a hard foul here and there. But over there, I tried to get hurt a couple times. Like I had it's a lot of stuff that went on over there. But the money's good. You don't really practice a lot, so you have a lot of downtime. But you also
Hmm.
are in the Middle East, so it's like I didn't really get it. I didn't really feel comfortable because I didn't really know the language. A lot of people didn't know English, so for
Hmm.
me, I was like I kind of stayed in my house, just kind of reading up on stuff, watching podcasts, watching basketball stuff. Like I didn't really do too much, so I had a lot of downtime there. But the basketball stuff it was very, very competitive though.
Right. And adding to that, there's a big time difference. So it's not like
Yep.
you just like if you have PlayStation, you can't just play with your friends because it's
Yep.
like what was it, like 12-hour difference, 10-hour
Yep.
difference.
Yeah, I think it's 10. Yep, 10-hour difference. Yep.
Yeah. And how was the whole situation with your team? Again, was it a good team when you got there? Was it a bottom team?
No, I went to one of the worst teams that was out there. Like seriously, I went to the one. I'm gonna be real with you, bro. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I went to one of the worst teams, probably one of the worst situations, and uh, tried to change that situation up. Um, get out of here, stink. Um, I tried to change that situation, and it was tough. Because again, when you're dealing with like these teams that don't really are not really known for winning, they
Hmm.
add additional pressure on you to win. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
they bring you out there, and it's like a lot of times I don't think they really understand that. It's like you don't need to add stress to a player. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
He's already coming out there to do what he does. Anything outside of that is just going to, add additional barriers on his game. So, or his or her game. So, but yeah, I went to a terrible team, and then we ended up not winning a lot. Like if I'm being honest, and it wasn't because the American players that were out there on the team. I think it was so much the local players. They didn't expect them to practice. You know what I'm saying? They didn't expect them to do anything in the games. They just expected
Mm.
the American guys to kind of carry the load. It was times where it was just me and the other American dude in practice, just us two, just getting shots up. We had
Wow.
practice, but nobody showed up. And then they show up for the games, and it's kind of like they don't know the plays. They don't know. They can't get up and down the court because they're tired. They ain't in shape.
Yeah.
It was a lot, bro. It was really, really a lot. So, it just depends. Every situation is different, but you just got
Hmm.
to be ready for all of them. You know what I'm saying? If
Wow.
you really want to call yourself a pro or athlete, and go overseas, you got to be ready for any situation that be thrown at you.
That's crazy. That's crazy because here, they expect you to go to practice. Like you have
That's
to go
what
to
I'm
practice.
saying. Yeah,
Like
it was a
if you
big
don't go, you
difference
don't
because
play.
yeah, exactly. And the thing about Costa Rica is like guys actually want to get better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Guys actually want to play. They want to like they go to school, like they go to college. They try to play basketball. So it's like over there, it's like these dudes are already married. They got wives. They got kids. They have jobs outside of basketball too sometimes. And it's like they don't really take it as serious. You know what I'm saying? So but you do have some. But it's like my team, again, I was on one of the worst teams for a reason. So I had nobody on my team was like that though. Everybody was kind of like doing their own thing, and then they would just show up to the games, and then we would play and just get embarrassed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you jump from Qatar to what country next?
Qatar, and then I went to Saudi.
Saudi Arabia. Okay. And was it any better in Saudi?
Um, it was they like kind of similar to Qatar, like in some cases, but I think it was it was more of an urgency to
Hmm.
kind of win in Saudi, just because I feel like they had more pride than the guys that I feel like in Qatar had. Like you have to want to win games, bro. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like if you're not doing it to win, what you doing it for? If you're
Right.
not doing it to get better, you wasting your own time, you wasting everybody else's time, and my the guys there, um, we had our preseason in Tunisia, so we was
Hmm.
in Tunisia playing, and I'm naturally like I'm very vocal when I play basketball. Like I talk a lot. I get in other people's shit. Like I'm in your face. I'm going at you. But I also do that to my teammates to kind of
Hmm.
give them like a confidence booster, kind of give them that like bro, we gotta they doing it to us. We gotta be able to do it to them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The only way it's gonna be a game. If we scared of them, that we lost, right? So I started doing that in Saudi or in Tunisia in our preseason, and my coach is like, you need to relax. Like you need to relax. These guys don't know how to respond to that. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Hmm.
just like, okay, well, we won't be any good. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we really won't be good. If I can't push you to be better, how are we gonna be better? Because these guys are not just like waking up saying, let me go to the gym, let me shoot, let me work on my game. They're not doing that, right? So
Right.
it's like somebody has to do it for them to change and be uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like a lot of times the reason why we lost was that stuff, like that little stuff like that. It plays a big part in winning and losing in life too, just in general. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So
Did a few of them break?
you said what?
Did a few of them break while you were talking your shit on them?
Well, it's always like that. You know what I'm saying? Leadership is lonely, bro. I'm gonna tell you
Yeah.
some real life stuff. Like even just pivoting a little bit, bro. You got what you're doing. I love it. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna be lonely. Feeling like the shit ain't going where you want it to go, right? As fast as you want it to go. Take the small wins. You know what I'm saying? Like every day is a win. You got better. You added another person, whatever. You did some research to do what you need to do. Just look at it as everything is a part of the process, bro. When you do that, you start to fall in love with it. You know what I'm saying? So, but everybody is not able to think or be or do what you do. So it's a reason why you are where you are, compared to
Right.
your peers or whoever, everything else. So it's just stuff like that. You can't expect everybody to want to change. So that I always struggle with that when I play too.
Right. And You ended your career playing in the Middle East,
Yes,
in the Middle East.
I ended in Saudi. So my I think what was this? December in 2019 is when I came
Okay,
home from Saudi. And I came home because I was just burnt out, bro. Like I was tired of like fighting with my teammates on like wanting them to get better. I was
right.
tired of telling the coach like, okay, we not gonna win if it's just me in here getting shots up. You know, we're not gonna win if um, these guys can't even make layups. You know what I'm saying? Like wide open layups. Like it's just little stuff. And I was like very, very frustrated. On top of that, they kept trying to like give me my money late. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like 3 or 4 days late. And that's just like not professional. If I'm in here putting the time in, being committed, I expect everything to kind of be straight on my side. Now, anybody else, I don't care. But
Right.
we signed a contract together. You know what I'm saying? So I'm upholding my side of it. I expect y'all to do the same. And it just wasn't that. So I just ended up leaving and I came home, and I was about to go play again in Oman, which is probably like a lower Middle East league, but I just after that I just wasn't. I was at a point where I wasn't having fun with basketball anymore. If I'm being
Right.
honest, like it just wasn't. It was more so work than it was like fun. And at one point when I
Hmm.
was on my climb up, it was fun working as hard as I did. But when I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm here, I'm moving around from team to team now, uh, I want to be in a decent situation more than anything. You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense. Yeah.
I don't want to have to always be the one kind of like carrying the load. Like I'm gonna do my part, but I don't want to be like burning myself out. You know what I'm saying? Like not sleeping just to lose. You know what I'm saying? For real. So that's kind
Right.
of why I stopped after that.
Yeah. I feel you in a way because so I played last year. Did I play 2021? I did play 2021, and I felt the same way 2021. Like I was going to practice, and then we had one day where it wasn't practice. It was like, all right, so the gym is open. You can go if you want to go.
Hmm.
And I was there for 2 3 hours just putting shots up, and I was not getting any playing time. So again, like the situations are not the same because the expectations aren't the same from an import
Hmm.
than a local player. Especially me, it was my second or third year, and
Hmm.
but I felt, and I was starting in my career, so it was
Hmm.
like, bro, I'm not having fun with it. Like I don't want to play here anymore. I don't want to be here anymore.
Especially if you see if you because I mean Costa Rica is it's a big place, but the basketball community is very, very small, right?
Yeah,
Especially if you kind of see what everybody else is doing, you know, outside. Like if you know for a fact, like you in the gym, you putting the work in, you trying to get better, and you're not even getting on the court, but you see other people that probably don't put that extra work in. They're probably like effing off somewhere in the club or doing all this other stuff, and it's like, what am I doing it for, right? If you ain't gonna pay attention to it, it's kind of like, okay, well, let me go somewhere where I feel wanted and appreciated and valued. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And it's like you start to just understand that it's not even really like about basketball anymore. It's like more so about just the wins and losses at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. No,
Yeah.
bro, 100%. And there was times because I was still living with my parents back in the day, back in 2021. Um, and there was times where I came home and I was just pissed because I was like, bro, ain't no way. Like I'm not gonna say the names, but I was like, bro, ain't no way this dude's starting over me. Like it was games because we had Jose, which was an import, and then we had I don't know if you remember Daniel Simmons
Sim.
from San Ramon. I think he was still playing, or he was the coach in San
Okay.
Ramon.
Okay.
Well, we had him too, and those games where it was like 28 points from the import, and then he had like 17, and
Hmm.
the third guy was like 4 6.
Yep. Yep.
So I was like, bro, there's
You
no
mean to tell
way
me
this
I
guy
can't get
can
in the
start.
game and get 6 or 8 points? Yeah,
I'm
I get
telling
you.
you.
I understand. I understand. I
I'm
understand
telling
it.
you.
I understand
So,
it.
that took a big part of me just changing sceneries, changing teams. I played
Yep.
for this coach in high school. I know him. So it's a complete different story. So I really, connect with that because
Right.
if I'm not having fun, if I'm not being happy, then it's not worth it at the end of the
Right.
day,
Right.
right?
Right. That
It's not.
that was like that was reason why I kind of like came home from that situation. Like I obviously still wanted to play basketball, but when I came home, it was kind of like, man, let me just sit back. I've been going for 8 months out the year, 9 months out the year.
Mm.
for 2 3 years at a time. I haven't really had a chance to have friends, be around my family, just experience being social with other people again. I'm always gone. So I just use that time to kind of really just come home and connect with the people that I had relationships with, mend some
Right.
relationships that I had messed up in the past. And after that, it was like, I don't even really want to go back overseas, man. I don't really want to leave again. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
straight up, I can always hoop, train, work out, be competitive. But, as far as just saying that I did it, just to be like, oh, you hoop overseas, to me, that's played out now. Like straight up. Like it's too much. Like people go through too much. They put their bodies through too much. And just for nothing. A lot of people, I can't tell you how many guys that are like on social media right now, that are posting like job openings to play for like
Mm.
$250 a month, or like, and these dudes are like trying to break their neck to get over there just to say that they play overseas. I understand that you need a shot, but like if you're trying to make 250 a month,
Mm.
a month, you can go get you a job, bro. Doing something else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Something else, bro. Like seriously. So I don't think that. I think it's a big misconception now. Like basketball is kind of like the overseas market is really really messed up now. Like back when I was coming out of school, it was okay, but now it's
Mm.
not really good at all. And you got to
Right.
think there's so
So
many different players come out every day trying to get
yes,
overseas. So it's like it's very very hard for guys.
that was actually a big point I made to somebody I was interviewing. Well, I have to re-interview him, but
Mm-hmm.
I was telling him that if a team has me, for example, and I'm from Costa Rica, and a team has a player from the U.S.,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna balance it out to the player from the U.S., right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you have more history in being better players, being
Mm-hmm.
more competitive, having more resources.
Right.
So the amount of players that you guys produce is a lot. It's big time. And then
Yeah, it's
you
crazy.
have all these different leagues across the world,
Mm-hmm.
where I've heard about situations that because there's like a rule in Europe that teams can pay up like 3 months late or something like that. So you
Okay.
have
Yeah,
to
I didn't
handle
know that.
you got to handle that. And
Yeah.
then if you get hurt, they're like, "Oh, we don't really need you anymore. We're gonna
Right.
cut
Right.
you,
Right. Right.
get
Right.
somebody else." So
That's another thing about overseas ball, bro. It's like any little thing can get you kind of like replaced. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You can have a bad attitude on a bad team and get sent home, but you producing. You know what I'm saying? You
hmm
producing. They're just not ready to deal with your attitude. You know what I'm saying? And your attitude is only coming from a good place. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen
yeah,
that happen. I've seen where a person twist their ankle, but it was probably like a grade 2 or level 2 or 3 sprain, and they weren't about to be ready for the upcoming game, so they got released. Like that's just one game. You get what I'm saying? I've
that's
seen all
crazy.
kind of stuff. Like it's crazy to me, man, how it works. But that just goes to show it's like you can be easily replaced. It's really not about basketball, you know what I'm saying? It's about
hmm
wins and losses, you know what I'm saying? So um, when you put it in perspective like that, it's kind of like so you have to really, really, really be in love and have a passion for just saying like just going overseas and trying to like experience like different scenery, different countries. Like
Right,
if you're doing it for that part, more power to you. You know what I'm saying? But if you're just doing it for just to say that I'm an overseas athlete, put that on social media and you kind of run
right.
with that, you ain't in it for the right reasons.
It's not. It's not gonna last long.
Yeah, it ain't gonna last that long. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
I was
just
fortunate to make a decent amount of money and jump out. You know what I'm saying? I made decent
right,
money in Qatar, decent money in Saudi, and I was okay. You know what I'm saying? I was like, all right, good. And I can fall back on other stuff. I'm very ambitious. I'm very, optimistic. I'm okay with taking chances. I feel like I would fall and land somewhere in a positive element. You know what I'm saying?
right. So no comeback at all. No.
Uh, so I play. I play a lot now, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. I play like 3 4 times a week.
Okay.
I'm in a couple men's leagues. Um, I train kids, so I'm always in the gym, just kind of sharpening up everything. I've thought about it a lot. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I've thought about it, but when I think about the financial element of it, you know what I'm
hmm
saying? I have 2 kids. I have a house. Um, I'm about to get married next year.
Okay.
So when I put that in perspective, what team is going to offer me 8K a month right now
Right.
to go and play? I don't see any. You get what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
gonna probably have to take a 2,500 a month or some 3,000 a month, and I make more than that. I make over 100K at my regular job, not even on the training side of it or what I do on the side. So it don't make sense for me, just to be honest. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with just staying competitive in Houston and playing in these different leagues and just showing that I can still play. Like I'm okay with that.
Okay. And what got you into training kids, adults, youth?
Well,
What got you into that?
I'm the type of person where you know, what I've been blessed with it for a reason. So the only thing to do outside of my blessing is to bless other people. So basketball has taken me around the world. It's helped me meet a lot of, different cool people, people that I still have relationships with. So just my focus now is just to give it back to the youth, what I'm saying? Give it back
Mhm.
to anybody that's willing to hear, receive, you know, understand, what it takes to really go through and be a pro or a college player or a good high school player, because you never know when the time is going to stop on your basketball clock.
Yeah.
So, but if you do it the right way, if you learn the right things, you can have a really, really decent career at it. You know what I'm saying? So that's really been my focus now. I've always been wanting to train for a long time, but I had so many different things kind of like block that from happening. And now I'm in the point where I have the time, I have the resources, and it's only growing. It's only growing. So
Okay. And was it hard? Because now this is like personal questions because I've thought about training at one point, either
mhm.
coaching or training or doing something. Was it hard to get started? Maybe like getting people to trust you and pay for your trainings.
Absolutely.
How was that whole
So
transition
that's
starting into that?
yes. I'm just gonna say yes, but I'm gonna give you some background. So with anything, bro, with anything, it's always gonna be work. You know what I'm saying? It's always gonna be work to be successful at something. You know what I'm saying? So with the training stuff is I just looked at it like let me use me as my own marketing tool, right? So I played 5A high school ball, like really really good competition. I went
Hmm.
to a Division I college. You know what I'm saying? Um, we played against schools like Michigan State, Minnesota, like Big Ten schools in our non-conference. In our regular conference, it was okay. Whatever. Then I have overseas experience as well. So I have some type of basketball knowledge to the common eye, right? So I just use that
Right.
as a marketing tool. And it's still hard to get people. I'm not from Houston normally, like naturally. So a lot of people kind of go with who they know a lot of times. And I don't really like put myself out there. I'm very, very introverted in a way. Like I kind of stay within myself, within my own family. Um, but it is hard to kind of get clients. That's a struggle that I have. Now it's one of those things where once you do get one and you just work with them and you get their parent or somebody to buy in, that's all you really need because that one
Yeah.
parent is going to help maximize everything that you do, everything that you say. And that's kind of what I'm going through right now. I have 4 clients that's like consistently in rotation that comes all the time. I've been working with them for like 5 months now. I mean, 5 weeks now, and they've tremendously grown in their games just took off. Even if it's just from like a shooting perspective or just ball handling, getting better at ball handling, learning like proper footwork, how to shoot,
Hmm.
or make a move, like all that stuff is very, very important when you actually transition into the court. And I feel like when you get the parents to like start seeing that and they start seeing it when their kids actually play, they vouch for you, more than
Right.
just saying, "Oh, I'm training. Can you bring your kid to training?" They have to see the real life application. You know what I'm saying?
Right. 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 Right.
That puts that to the side. Absolutely.
All right. And talk to me about your brand, Overlooked. I feel like there's a deeper message
It
in
is.
that.
It is. Overlook is so Overlook has been like me my whole life. If I'm being real with you, like I'm a one of 9 kids, the first kid to graduate high school out of my family, first to go to school, first to leave Indianapolis. You know what I'm saying? A lot of firsts for me, but
Hmm.
I had to carry that, type of like overlooked. image or motto to get to break those cycles. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always going to be shit pinned against you to telling you that you
Right.
can't do it, right? A lot of people fall into that and just stay the same. Like I was like, okay, it's a reason why all my people or all my family are stuck in this situation. Let me look at what they're doing and do something different, right? So
Hmm.
overlook is just, you know, don't settle for the bare minimum, you know, because the bare minimum will get you nowhere. Like try different things, be okay to fail. You know what I'm saying? If you fail today, you can try again tomorrow. You feel me? Like it's no
Yeah.
such thing in taking an L or taking a loss, in my opinion. It's like you just learn from everything that you do or that you don't do. And I just use that to I just put the brand out there just a little bit, just to kind of like, I know people can relate to it. It's not just sport related. It's life. It's you know, it's social aspects. It's business. It's job. It's corporate. It's all of that stuff's kind of wrapped into one word, and I feel like everybody can connect to it to a certain degree. We've all been in situations where we feel like somebody else got an opportunity over us, or
Hmm.
we've all been in situations where um, you know, we feel like we haven't had a fair shake at certain things. And, you know, this is just a brand where I feel like people can relate to it. You know what I'm saying? More in more ways than one.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with it. The message is clear, overlooked. It means a lot. It's not just for basketball, as you said.
Absolutely.
It can stretch out for a whole big segment of fields, right? Your
Absolutely.
jobs,
Absolutely.
relationships, everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All of that. All of that. And I'm honestly I've been through all of those different things, you know,
Hmm.
relationships too. Like, to be honest, it was very, very hard having a relationship in Costa Rica. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
coming from the U.S., you come to a Central American country, and it's like island water, women, long hair, beautiful, beautiful women, right? And sometimes that can really kind of throw you off or throw off what you have going on, and it did for me for a while. So, not a knock, but it's you have to be mentally prepared for that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So yeah, it's overlooked represents so much, bro. Straight up.
Right. So a few more questions before we wrap it up. First one is, we talked about your whole career, different countries, different teams, different situations. What do you think was your biggest takeaway out of your entire career? Right, the pro that you can take from it. What you learned the most.
Hmm.
It could be basketball related. It could be non-basketball related, like learning how to deal with stress,
Hmm.
learning how to handle retaliation from other players, from other people. Like, what was that one big thing that you could say you took from your years playing pro?
I think it's two things for me, honestly. Number one is you can't cheat yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest, like, you know, like if you want to be good at something, like, you know that it requires time. Like, you have to put the time and you have to put the work in, and ultimately that will show, like, you know,
Hmm.
over time. You know, it won't happen probably like tomorrow, or it won't happen a week from now, but the more that you work at something, you will get the results. I feel like throughout my career, I didn't start working until I got to playing pro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always worked, but I didn't work as hard as I was supposed to. It's like guys out here eat, sleep, you know, breathe the game. They work at their stuff all the time. I wasn't that type of guy. You know what I'm saying? It's so you only gonna get what you put in, and I had to
Hmm.
learn that, right? And then number two is, you know, stop looking for validation. You know, so don't look for validation from other people. It's like you have to know and believe that whatever you're trying to do, it's only gonna come from you. You know what I'm saying? People can tell you what they think you should be doing. You can't buy into that. You have to know. You have to stay true to yourself. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, and that's not even like basketball related. That's just like in life, bro. It's like if you get caught up in what people are saying, it's like you start to believe that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, wholeheartedly, and then that messes up with your mental. You know, that throws you off. So those are the two things that I learned just by playing, you know, traveling overseas, because it's a lot of that. You're going to hear a lot of that from agents, from teammates, from coaches, from your peers. You know, and you have to be okay with just blocking that stuff out and just kind of like digging deep within yourself. It takes work, though. It really does take work.
I agree, 100%. Um, Now, what was the hardest part of just living overseas for so many years?
The hardest thing about for me, the hardest thing about being overseas was just uh, it's very hard when you have when you don't come from nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like when you don't, like I say, I grew up poor, right? So if you
Hmm.
don't come from anything and then you get over to a place where you are new, everything's new, you're seeing different things for the first time, you're gonna make decisions that you have to live with at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're right or wrong, you have to live with those things. And I think the biggest thing is just learning how to adjust to that. You know what I'm saying? It's like a small thing, but it really really goes a long way because a lot of things that I've done were only overseas. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like bad decisions were made overseas. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if that's because I felt like it wasn't gonna catch up to me when I came back home, or since it happened over here, it would never nobody would ever know. But
Hmm.
what you do in the dark, it always comes to light, bro. It always comes
Right.
to light. You know what I'm saying? So just learning that type of stuff, bro. It's just little stuff like that, man. That I kind of sit back and reflect, and I still reflect on that stuff. Just because I want my son to know when he starts playing ball, which is he's already doing, it's the right way to
Yeah.
go about it. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot to become like a pro. Some people just label it pro, but in my opinion, my definition of a pro is like, can you speak, what I'm saying, intelligently? Do you know how to handle certain situations that come up that are probably gonna be controversial? Are you a good teammate? You know what I'm saying? Do you put the work in? How do you respond to adversity? Like all of this stuff is like what formats a pro, in my opinion. It's not just saying I went overseas and played ball for a year. So just stuff like that.
Right. Right. And I think the last question I've asked everybody this, man, but I'm very curious if you could go back and talk to 16-year-old, 17-year-old Isaac, who may have not thought he was gonna go pro, he was gonna keep playing basketball. What was a couple things you could say to him about basketball itself and your future?
So at 16, um, I didn't know where I was going to be. Like straight up, I was in the streets. I was doing some stuff that I wasn't supposed to be doing. Um, but if I had anything to tell myself, it would just be uh, if the people are around you, if the people around you are not doing anything positive, you shouldn't be around those people. You know what I'm saying? If they're not like pushing you to do better with your own life, like if they're just basically around you just to waste your life, which is a lot
Hmm.
of people, you got to change your friends. You know what I'm saying? And that's perfectly fine to do. Like some people take that stuff to heart, but I've changed my friend groups maybe like two or three times in my life. You know what I'm saying? Just based on like when it's time for me to elevate and I know I need to elevate, some
Right.
people can't go, right? Some people you can't, you got to just cut off. You got to just, and that's healthy. It's only for your own benefit. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know that early on. So that's one of the biggest things I would tell myself I tell people all the time now, right? It's like, your friends now may not be your friends in 5 years or 10 years. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Hmm.
okay, right? That's okay. But that's a big lesson right there.
It's your benefit, but it's the hardest thing to do because
It
you're
is.
relationships. I learned that sometimes, other than the love and all that, it's more about the being accustomed to the people, right?
Absolutely, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
it's one of the hardest parts, cutting off people that you're just comfortable being around, like
Yep,
automatically, right?
yep, yep. But if it's in my time, if it's if it's organic and it's genuine, it'll always come back and fix itself. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, nobody should ever penalize you for trying to grow and elevate and be better, right? So it says a lot about the person if they get mad at you for trying to elevate yourself. So that just means that they're not mentally stronger, or they're not mature enough to receive it or understand it yet, but they will over time. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Perfect. Perfect, man. 100%. Last thing, your biggest game in Costa Rica. What do you think it was?
My biggest game, I honestly don't even remember. I had some games where I was like, man, I'm hooping, and I had some games where I got some nice dunks, um, but I don't really remember. Do you remember?
I mean, I don't. I've seen rewinds because there are a couple games on YouTube.
Okay.
Uh, there's one against Grecia that I've seen like two times, I think,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and there's another one where I can't remember the team. But that game against Grecia, you did pretty good. I
yeah.
think somebody got ejected. I can't remember who right now. So somebody had gotten ejected. I can't remember who right now, man.
Now I think
Um,
honestly though, I think my probably one of my my better games were like because I'm gonna be real with you. Like I didn't really count games like Abogados at the time. Like they weren't really like really good. The games that I really wanted to like really be good for was like um, teams that had American imports.
mhm,
So that was like San Ramon, Escazú. Um, I think Gracia may have had one at the time. Liberia had a guy who was import.
yeah.
So like those type of games where I really wanted to kind of play. Uh, so I don't know. Hopefully one of them, but I don't really know off the top of my head though. Yeah,
All right, now you good, man. Well, no, again, I really want to appreciate and thank you for the time and accepting the invite of joining.
absolutely, man. Thank you for having me on this. This was fun. I'm happy that I was able to kind of like share some light on Costa Rica too, because overall, man, I think that it's a very up and coming league. It's a good league for guys to come in and really get their feet wet. Like far as like good brand of basketball, competitive basketball, a beautiful country. You know what I'm saying? There's so much to do. So I recommend, you know, guys, if they do go there, take advantage of all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because you only get to really experience that one time or a few times in this life. So um, I appreciate you. Thank you, bro. Keep doing what you're doing too, because I love this.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. So yeah, just as we're wrapping up, quick reminder for anybody that's watching or listening. Somewhere on your screen, you should see a Patreon link. It's about $6 a month just to support the podcast, being able to get better software, better tools, and develop better content. And other than that, I think I'm pretty much set. I don't know if you have any last message you have to share.
I don't, man. I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, no problem, bro. See you next time. Take care.
See you, buddy. See you.